Welcome to Coast Creatives, a podcast for and about working professional artists within the entertainment industry. I'm Joe Funk, and along with my co-host, Torin Cavens-Flores, we interview actors, directors, photographers, writers, and many, many more. Today, we're chatting with musical theater actor, singer, songwriter, and playwright, Kyle Segar. Kyle is currently traveling with the national tour of the Book of Mormon, and previously with the world tour of Rent. Kyle talks about his training in musical theater, beginning in high school and all the way through his master's degree at the NYU Tisch School of the Arts. He gives plenty of insight into the life of a traveling artist, including some of his favorite destinations and audiences he's experienced throughout his career. But before we begin, Torin and I really love bringing you this podcast every week. And word of mouth is a huge way for our content to find new listeners. So, if you have the time, please be sure to rate this podcast on the platform of your choice and spread the word so we can continue bringing you new guests every single week. Now that that's out of the way, if you're a fan of musical theater, this is an amazing episode and we're honored to have Kyle here as our guest. So, without further ado, let's jump on into it. Welcome, everybody. On today's episode, we have our friend Kyle.
Hello.
How are you doing today, Kyle?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I am very happy we got you in here because you're not in Georgia for too long here. You leave in like 2 days.
Yes.
So I am very glad that this worked out. We took some headshots the other day.
Yes, I'm so happy that I got them, and I got them with you, somebody I know. So
it's actually fun, a
it
fun
was
experience.
Really fun. Yes, it was great.
Yes, and you how many years did you go without those? You went
like 8. A good 8 years.
It's a long time.
Holy
trash. I know.
Yeah.
Horrible.
But also, you have been very successful in your career, so it's not like
Debatable.
You can say no. You have.
Yeah.
And so no reason to update them.
I made it work.
You made it work. You made it work. Okay, so take us back to the start. Just introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Kyle Segar. I'm an actor, writer, singer, former choreographer. Don't really do much of that anymore, but yeah, just all around performer. Love
Amazing.
the arts.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you dabble in both theater and musical theater, or pretty much exclusively musical theater world?
I'd say both. Most of my work that I've done recently is musical theater, but yeah, I don't shy away from theater at all either.
Yeah.
I'll do a monologue for you.
I love it. You're going to bust out the Latin for us?
I won't, no.
So where did you first fall in love with theater?
My first actual real theatrical experience was 3rd grade. We had a Thanksgiving play that we had to do, and it consumed me, and I got so excited, and I had like a lead role in it. I was going to do all the talking. I was excited. I was like, oh, we're learning lines and we have this to do, we have that to do. And I had never done anything like that before in my life. And then it got canceled because all the kids were acting up constantly and couldn't So it really depressed me. Yeah, completely unprofessional. 3rd graders.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. I forgot that was actually probably my first time with a script in hand, rehearsing something and I was so excited, but I didn't think about theater like that ever again until high school. Mm-hmm. I was mostly focused on singing and being a singer, and I just wanted to figure out how to do that.
So take us back to high school and when you're performing in high school. We were talking about this a little bit before we started rolling here, and you went to a high school that put on a lot of shows every year. So how many shows did you do?
I guess it was 6 main stage shows a year, so 3 a semester. And then we also had like our black box shows that we would do. So that probably makes it 8. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's insane.
And that doesn't, in my mind, I'm like, that's that's not crazy at all. It just feels like that's what you should do. That's what you but I guess it is now that you guys say that. It's that is a lot, and it's a lot of opportunity, and it's nice. The first show I did was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and I had my first experience understudying. I was Linus's understudy, but the senior who was cast in that role ended up getting kicked out of the show, and then I got bumped up, and so I got to star in the show that year, and that was really cool as a freshman. What's
fun. The tea? Kicked out for what?
I don't know. There was speculation of all kinds of like nefarious things. You know, high schoolers can say all.
You're in high school.
Yeah. So everybody was saying all kinds of things. I was like, I'm doing what? I like didn't care. I was like, he's gone, and it was so dramatic. Our director, who was amazing, Miss Kira Willis, and she, in the middle of rehearsal was like, if he was late one more time, like then we're gonna just bump him up. And he was not there that one rehearsal, and she was just like, all right, everyone, here's your new Linus, and let's go into rehearsal, and da-da-da. And I was just like, oh, God. But, like, so happy on the inside because I was like, oh, I get to do something. I get to sing. I get to dance. And that was the first time I had ever, like, done any show like that ever. And it was such a showcase, and I got to just be creative and fun. And she took my ideas and went with them, and choreography was great. It was, like, just a really great introduction into musical theater for me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What was your favorite production from high school?
You know what? We did Cats. Yeah, we did Cats my junior year, and that was crazy. It was weird. But it was so much fun. Like, we had all the, like, leotard costumes. We all did our own makeup. There were, like, 50 of us in the show. It was insane. Like, it was nuts. But I think, actually, was Emmy in that? No.
Joe.
No, I mean, like, there were so many.
I don't think she was.
That's the thing. I'm like, there were so many of us in it. She very well could have been, like,
she could have
in there, like, and
50 cats running up there.
Ensemble cat.
Yeah, honestly, no, yeah, it was, but that was such a fun show, and I wanted to be like the big sexy cat. His name's the Rum Tum Tugger, and he's like, all the ladies want him, and it's like,
what's the
cool
movie equivalent?
Cats.
No, I mean, what actor was that character?
Oh, I don't know. In the most recent movie, Jason Derulo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So
I've only seen the movie.
Oh, yeah.
You saw that movie.
I did see that movie.
It's terrible.
It's really bad. It made me so sad because I love Cats. If you're in it, you love the show afterwards. And I get people that hate it. I understand, but like, you're wrong. But it's such a good show. And to see my show, my beautiful, beautiful baby cats, be like done like that.
Did you like the show before you were in the production of it?
I was not a theater person like that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have any recollection, any like knowledge of it. And when we got the DVD of like the stage film that they did in the 90s, we all watched it, and I was like, what? Like, I was just floored. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is amazing. This is cool. And I'm going to be which one? And we were all just trying to figure out our parts and like follow along and learning the show. And so it was really cool. It was really cool.
I hear that I've heard that a couple times where after you're in that show, you love the show.
You love it. Yeah.
But yeah, Joe and I went to see it in the theater. I knew what it was about. Joe didn't really know anything. And we're watching the movie, and it's like an hour in, and they're just, introducing themselves and then singing a song about it. And Joe leans over to me, and he's like, is this all this is? And I'm like, basically.
Yeah.
At one point, they like want to die and go to cat heaven. But this is basically it.
Yeah.
I was confused because I'd seen a lot of pretty much every other Andrew Lloyd Webber, and it's straightforward stories. And this is not at all.
Because he was adapting a poem, a book of poetry.
Yeah.
Into a musical.
I had no idea that's what it was going to be, but it was an experience.
Yeah. I saw it probably, I think I saw it 5 times on Broadway.
Oh, I think I'd say
that. Oh, I thought you were going to say the movie.
No.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, I saw the revival. I was in school at that time, and I just kept going. I was just like, I want to see it again. Like, I love it so much.
That must have been cool on Broadway.
It was so good. Like, everything, like, the way they had the lights in the whole theater, like, it was a party. Everybody there wanted to be there. It was just, we all were, like, Cat super fans, so that was fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, you moved to New York when you were 18?
17.
17?
Yes. I have an early birthday, so everybody in my grade was always older than me.
So that was right after high school?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big jump coming from Atlanta to New York City. How did you make that move at 17?
I went to AMDA in New York, the American Musical Dramatic Academy. I was my family isn't the most prepared family / we never really like plan anything too far ahead in advance. And that includes college applications and things of that nature. And so it came to spring semester of senior year, and I didn't know I was going to college. I hadn't toured anywhere. I didn't apply anywhere. And I was just like, I don't know. And I just felt like I had no direction. But I was just like, I'm an actor. I want to act. I want to perform. And I kept seeing all my friends applying to these like huge schools and stuff. But that was too late for me. I had missed that opportunity. But AMDA was a school that started, it's a conservatory, and it started in October. And so they were still accepting applications. And so I applied, auditioned, got in with a full ride scholarship. And that was like it. And I said, okay, I'll just go do that. And that's in New York City. I'll figure it out. I'll make it happen. Took out a huge loan to make it happen. Yeah. And I was only there for a year. And because I couldn't get another loan for my second year. And then that's when I started like bouncing around the country and living all sorts of places. But that was, 17. I went up there, and that was so fun because it was just a bunch of theater nerds.
Yeah.
In New York City apartments.
Yeah. Going
to school every day, dancing, singing, acting. That's all we did.
Yeah. So you fell in love with New York very fast.
Oh, yeah. We got free tickets to show. Like, I saw Next to Normal in previews before it like even opened on Broadway. Like it was just so much fun. Like, we got all these opportunities to do like random stuff and so much fun stuff and meet so many fun people. And so it was like really great teachers.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's amazing. So 1 year there, then you go to undergraduate.
Yes. There was a lot of downtime in between, like, again, trying to just figure out what I'm doing. But I ultimately ended up at Northern Kentucky University. And that's where I like finished out and got my undergrad degree.
Okay. 3 years then? Because you already did the one in AMDA?
Something like that. Yeah. It was, you know how it gets complicated.
We'll
with
put you
the
down
schools.
for 3 years.
Yeah. I was here in Georgia for a while, went to Kentucky for a while. My family went to Arizona for a while. Like,
okay.
You've
been all over.
I've been all over, and for no reason whatsoever. You know, it was all just.
But it was good preparation to the life you're now living.
That's actually a really good point. I never thought about that.
That would be a perfect segue. But I want to jump back to New York again because you went back to New York for graduate school.
I did
at NYU at Tisch. That's one of the best art schools in the country.
It is.
What was your experience with application process for that? Getting in there, just like the feeling of what like going to Tisch for performing arts.
Again, I don't prepare, and so I got to my last semester at NKU, and I was like, my school didn't give us any kind of showcase, any kind of like help with like working after you graduated. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do, and I just felt very like on my own, and I hadn't been in really any productions at NKU except for Seussical that semester. And so I was just like, wow, like this is like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I had written 2 shows while I was at NKU because I hadn't been cast in anything. And so I was just like, I'm going to write my own show. Like, screw y'all. Like, I'm going to do me. And after that, I thought, okay, maybe writing is like where I can lean into a little bit. And I started looking up schools for writing. And I was thinking even getting another bachelor's in writing, or like, because I had no idea that you could get a master's in writing. I just didn't know. And as I did my research, randomly, the graduate musical theater writing program at NYU Tisch showed up, and I was like, whoa, this is very specific, and this sounds just right for me. Like, this sounds exactly what I need to do. And so it was like maybe a week before the deadline was due, and they were like asking for my materials that I like previous works. And so luckily I had written 2 shows, and so I was like sending them those. And then like they wanted, they gave you like these prompts, and they were like, write a lyric about this, write a melody for this, and write this. And so I was just like banging it out as fast as I could and writing essays really quick. And everybody, I remember like being in NKU's like common area, like outside of the like the offices, you know, and just like sitting there with like all my books and things. Everybody's like, what is he doing? And like I just was in a zone for a good like 4 or 5 days writing. And I sent it all in, and then they called me and interviewed me while I was in rehearsals for this dance show that I was in, because I used to be a dancer. I used to be a semi-good dancer. But I was in this dance concert, and we were rehearsing, and I was like, I have to take this for my interview. And they interviewed me, and yeah, they also gave me a full ride scholarship to NYU. And so I did that, and I was really excited, and it just felt very like exciting, validating, right?
Yeah, and it
like,
brought you back to New York.
And it brought me back to New York, exactly, in which I hadn't been living in New York in years. And so by that point, I was like, oh my God, this is going to get me back in New York City. And it was a 2-year program. And so I was just like, okay, I can use these 2 years in my mind to do it all. I can work on grad school stuff. That's fine. Writing songs, whatever. But like, I can audition too. And I can like book stuff. No, I was just working my ass off writing like 24/7. And like, I was like, oh, this is grad school. My bad.
Yeah.
You don't stop. And you literally are doing this for the rest of your life. So yeah, those 2 years were like amazing. I met some of my best friends. Like, we all still chat together today. Like my writing partner, David, who I love. So talented. One of those people that can just like pick up any instrument and like play it.
Yeah.
Like, even if he's never seen it before, he can just like, okay, this is cool. Just like, how
I'm
do you
so
do
envious
that?
of those people.
I am
So
so
envious.
of
Oh
that.
my God. And when he became my part, like he was my roommate initially, like we were roommates the whole for 2 years, but we never wrote together. Like this program was odd in that it split you up into being a music person or a words person. And I started as a words person, but then they saw that I also write music too. And so the next year I became a music person. And then they were like, you need somebody who's like comfortable with you doing both. And David was like, I love that you do both. He was like, I do both too. And we just made it work, and we became partners. And we wrote beautiful stuff together. We wrote a great show together, and a couple shows together actually. And yeah, it was just, he was one of my best friends, and yeah, he just met a lot of cool people. And I was like around all these writers. It was like a different energy, like theater writers versus theater actors versus theater dancers. You know, it's like all different energies, and writers were so much more cerebral in their head. Like, yeah, it was just really different energy, and I missed being around actors. So when I started acting again right after that, that was nice to be around acting energy. But like, yeah, I just have these like different sides and different aspects, which is cool.
Yeah. So right after NYU, your plan was to just dive back into acting.
Yeah, I wanted to. I was like, how do I keep doing all of it? Because it was like, it felt like I was like juggling so many things. But I ended up booking Rent before I graduated, so I had to miss my graduation because I was in rehearsals, and we went on tour. I think in March I started rehearsals, and we graduated in May. And I had already done my thesis and had my showcase or whatever for my show that we wrote. So they were like, I was like, is it okay if I just leave? Like, I finished my thing. And they were all like, yeah, I guess. They were like, we'll mail you your degree. And I was like, okay, bye. I'm going to go do a show now. And it's just like, again, another validating moment too, because like your whole 2 years of just writing, but like feeling like I wasn't acting. And I was just like, but I'm an actor. I need to perform. Like, I'm watching all these other people sing my songs. I was like, what is this? This is no. And then to finally like book a show that I've loved since I was like a high schooler, I was just like, holy crap, like this is cool. So then I just went and did that for a year and some change.
Yeah. So you were already planting the seeds and auditioning in your final year of school.
I started, well, not heavily, but I saw the posting for Rent, and I was just like, there was like no time, but like I just found one day that I could like squeeze in, and I went and just did it. And like I still had like, I had gone to spring break and had like extensions in my hair. Like I had braids like down to here. Like it was like, I looked crazy, but I went in there like and sang like a Gavin DeGraw song or something, and like they were just like, okay. And literally like 8 auditions later, because there was like so many callbacks for the show, they were revamping it, or I don't know what they were doing, but it was a lot of auditions. And yeah, I booked it, and I was just like, all right, I gotta leave school a little early. Bye.
8 callbacks?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was crazy.
Walk me through that.
It was crazy.
Torrin and I mostly come from the film and TV world.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works within film and TV. How does it traditionally work within theater? Is this normal? And what's different between these callbacks? Are you auditioning for different people?
Yeah. I guess that's what it was. What it was mostly was that there were different people in the room each time. We would do, like, the first audition, I came in and sang a Gavin DeGraw song, like a pop song that they just asked for something pop rock, and I was like, okay. And then the next time they said, come back, do that again, but also sing this one song from the show. And then I did that. And then they said, maybe not that song, come back again, sing this song from the show. And then again, I come back and I do a dance call, and then I come back and do a dance and song, and each time there's like a different producer, or the choreographer's there, or the assistant dance captain's there to work with you on something, and it's just like constantly just like getting closer and closer and closer. And I sang songs for Collins and Angel and Benny, and I was singing all their different songs until it finally was just like Benny stuff. And he only has really like one song in the show. And so it was just Benny. And then I had sung all the other stuff, and they cast me as ensemble member, and then Benny understudy. And then they also had me as the Collins understudy, which was like backup, but like just extra insurance for the show, I guess. And yeah, it was, I don't think that was normal. I think they were trying to, I don't want to speak on what specifically, but I just feel like they were doing a whole new cast. Yeah. And this was like the 3rd year of this production of Rent. And so I think they were just trying to revamp the entire group. And we were like an entirely new cast there were like I think there were 2 people from the previous cast that like carried over into ours, like Roger and someone else that I can't remember exactly right now. But yeah, we were like a fresh new thing. And so I think they were really like trying to narrow it down with like multiple auditions. And
it's a lot of callbacks.
It was a lot of callbacks. I mean, I remember my boyfriend at the time, me and him, like every night, like after an audition, I'd go over to his place and I'd be like talking to him and his roommate about it. And they were like, oh my God. They're just like, I can't believe, don't they know already? Don't they know? And I was like, I don't know. Like, we'll see. But yeah.
And were you auditioning for many performances before that point, or were you really just focused on school?
I was focused on school. Like, that's all I could.
This was your first big audition.
It really was, yeah.
Okay.
And I was really shocked to get it. I was excited to get it, but like, I was shocked because it was like the first big show that I auditioned for in New York City. Yeah.
And it's exciting, but was it a little bittersweet as well that it was a traveling production and you had to have to leave New York? You really didn't get to experience that auditioning, grinding in New York thing.
Yeah, it was. And it was mostly bittersweet. Like, I mean, I was happy to go because I was like, we went to China for 3 months. We went to Japan for 2 weeks. We went to Canada, and then we went all over the U.S. So I was excited to see the world for the first time. Like, I'd only been to like London once for like a week, and that was my extent of like travel. But this was like, I'm about to like see some places. And so I was excited to leave, but it was mostly sad because I had to like just watch my friends all graduate without me, and like do the cap and gown thing. Like, I didn't get to do that, so I was like, and so that was like sad. Yeah, I was just like,
and they were probably looking at you like, oh man, this guy all over the world.
I don't want to assume what they were
with
thinking.
My stupid cap and gown.
No. They like sent me all pictures and videos. They were like, we wish you were here. I was like, I know, me too. I'm like in my hotel room, like, damn it. But it was fun. It was cool.
And what year was this that you started to go on tour with Rent?
2018.
Okay. Yeah. And how long were you gone?
15 months.
Wow.
Yeah. We took like a week off here, a week off there. I think we had maybe like 2 to 3 breaks, and they were no more than like a week long. But yeah, 15 months in general all the way through.
Yeah. And a lot of the questions moving forward are going to be about this, be about this life on the road as a performer. Did it take a while to get used to moving city to city, not really having a permanent home, jumping around all the time? I know you did that a little bit prior to NYU, but does it take a period of adjustment?
There is a period of adjustment, but also I feel like I'm so suited for it. Like they told me where to be, and I was like, I know where I'm going. You know what I mean? I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to think about what's next, which apartment do I need to buy, like da-da-da-da. Like everything was taken care of, and I was like, all I got to do is sing and dance. Like, yeah, I'll be wherever you need me to be. Like, you know what I mean? So it felt natural and easy, and just like we're seeing all these cool places. And I'm very much a stay inside type of person. Like, I love my bed. I love a TV show. I watch Bravo incessantly. And so it wasn't ever like, okay, I'm going to go to these cities and like I need to explore, and I get exhausted by it. I'm like, I'll explore when I feel like I want to explore. Like if we got to like some city, I would like be like, I'm sleeping and everybody else is going to go out and like do things. Yeah. But I know how to take my like me time and like relax. And so I never felt like worn down in that way. I guess it's the same as like any show that you would get cast in or any production you are a part of. It's always the interpersonal. It's always the people that you're working with. And that's where the learning curve is. And I hadn't been in a show in years, and so it was just like I'm back with actors, and I like had my like writer brain on, you know. And so I was like trying to be like, oh wait, you're just dancing, don't think about the script like in a way where like anything can possibly change, because like one, the writer is no longer alive, and two, like it's perfect as it is, you know. But like just in terms of like getting out of the space of like behind the table, and more so getting in the space of like living in this experience and living in these characters and telling this story that you've been hired to tell. And that was like fun to navigate. And then doing that with all these other young people who had never traveled before and never been around the world. We all were just like experiencing things together. So that was fun.
That's an amazing way to spend that period of your life. You're traveling, you're getting paid to travel, you're seeing the world, you're performing a musical that you admire.
Yeah, iconic show.
Yeah.
Truly iconic. Like, I remember going to see the movie when it came out, because it came out when we were in high school around like, I want to say 2006 or something.
Yeah,
like
it was about that.
5, something like that. We waited outside the theater, me and like a couple of my high school friends, and we like were singing the songs like in line, like waiting to go in before the movie got there. Like we were just obsessed with Rent. Like it's one of my favorites of all time. So to be in it and for that to be my first like high level professional gig, I was like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 15 months there, which takes you up to.
We ended in July of 2019, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'm asking because you're creeping towards COVID.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the travel still. You went all over the world. You went international with it.
Yes.
I'm sure that the show was received differently depending on where you were.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how it is overseas. Just, audiences are different. People's mentalities are different internationally. Where were some of your favorite places to perform?
Japan was cool. Japan was cool. They were obsessed. They love Rent. And I think they just love theater in general, but like, because I've heard other actors that I've talked to, like I've been to Japan and performed their shows, like one of my friends was in a chorus line over there recently. He was like, yeah, we had like packed houses the entire time. They were obsessed. They loved it. And I'm like, yeah, they were crazy. Like it was just they were so excited to have us there. And so yeah, Japan was really, really cool. In China, it was really great, honestly, a really great time in that we got to see China and got to experience all these different cities, but we had to change the show to perform it there. There was no same-sex kissing. There was no hand-holding. There was no, like, all that.
Oh, wow.
It was like we had to adjust a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot to
it's
adjust.
Rent. Yeah. It's Rent. So it's like, God. We didn't understand how we were going to do it, but we did it, and they made it work somehow, some way. And so that was like a little disappointing in that we had to change our show so much. But it was cool that we got to go to, I think we did 10 different cities in China, and we were there for like 3 months.
Wow. How did all those changes affect the tone of the show?
I think as a cast, we held on to it pretty for ourselves, and we were like, we're still gonna like do our what we can as best we can, and so that was like the goal. And my show wasn't too much affected, but it was like mostly the leads and stuff. They had to adjust a lot of things and couldn't be as free or as they wanted to. But the audiences, again, in China were insane. They loved it. Like, just singing along, like, clapping, just standing ovations constantly. And we learned Seasons of Love in Japanese. So we had, like, a little, like, moment here and there where we would, like, do an encore. And we'd come out and sing, and we'd, like, surprise them with knowing Japanese or Japanese lyrics. And so that was always really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun surprise. I could not sing it right now if I tried. I don't remember, but I do. It was fun learning that. That was a cool thing to do. But yeah, I loved Nanjing. Nanjing, China is a great place to be. It was just really pretty. I loved the nightlife there. It was fun. We weren't there very long, but Nanjing was where it was at.
How about in the States? Is there any place that unexpectedly is one of your favorites?
I really liked Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
That was really pretty. It was very witchy, which, if anybody knows me, I'm here for all things tarot, astrology, crystals, magic, all of it. And so there was like a crystal magic something shop on like every corner in Asheville, and I loved that. And it was just very I had always heard of Asheville from just like friends and stuff, that it was just like mountainy, it was collegey, it was hippie, it was this, that. I was like, okay. And then we finally got there, and I was like, oh, it's like, this actually would be like a really nice place to live. Like, it was just very chill vibes. I got some good tarot cards there. It was nice. I really liked Asheville.
So for 15 months you're doing this, and explain for the audience, how do these contracts work?
Well, every certain shows are different. A lot of shows are different here and there, but this was a like bus and plane tour. Like, we would fly places and we would also bus places.
Okay.
And they had hotels for us everywhere we went, unless we opted out to do our own thing and get our own housing in whatever city we were in. And so, yeah, you would just bounce around city to city. And it was a little crazy. The bus life is like, it's tough. It's cramped. And nobody agrees with me, but I much prefer a bus than plane. Like, I can't stand an airport. I hate airports with every fiber of my being. It's just a lot of waiting around. Everybody has an attitude. Like, I don't, like, as much as I was saying earlier, we were talking, like, the Starbucks guy was giving me such great energy, and I was like, not here for that. I am just the opposite as well. Like, I can't, if it's like too negative, like us, like, I need like a happy medium. I need like, meet me right in the middle. Cause like, if you are too happy, I'm like, whoa. If you're negative, I'm like, are we gonna fight? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, cause I'll fight. Like, let's go. But not at the airport. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just need people to just be peaceful, happy, but it's not.
It can be an interesting people watching place.
Yes.
If you can just put yourself into the first 90 seconds of Love Actually, where they're just looking around at all the people greeting each other at the airport. You're like, love is everywhere.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
I was watching that recently because it was Christmas just recently, and the Laura Linney part in that movie is so depressing. It's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate, and I feel for her so much. And I'm like, it's just unfair. Like, it's just not fair.
Yeah.
It pisses me off every time I watch it. I'm like, she deserves that man. Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
It's a very interesting movie.
It is.
How it bounces around with tone, because you have that, and then you jump to the British guy, the English guy in Wisconsin.
Yes. Trying to just get laid by an American.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Liam Neeson's wife dies.
Right.
And then
you've got the
Alan
sweet little
Rickman
boy, and then Alan Rickman's trying to cheat. Yeah. I saw a Broadway show called In Transit that was on Broadway for like a little while, but it was like big because it was the first a cappella musical ever on the Broadway, and it was literally Love Actually on the subway cars. Like, that's what it felt like. It was like very similar, like all these different people from all across New York City some knew each other, some didn't, different interactions happening. But it was like, I was like, this is Love Actually on a subway car. I was like, this is really interesting.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was cool. It was cool. And like, they had no band and they made it sound crazy. Like, it sounded so good. I'd never heard it.
They make it work.
Yeah.
How many, if you had to guess, how many Broadway shows have you seen? Can you even guess on that?
No, I can't. No. It's got to be more than like 20.
That's a good amount.
Yeah, definitely more than 20.
What's your best Broadway experience?
Whoa. Well, Cats is great.
Yeah.
Cats was awesome. Cats was cool. Best Broadway experience. I've had some like really intense Broadway experiences. I've had some like duds too. Like, oh my God, like just stuff that I was like, what? This is on Broadway? But best. Oh, you know what I loved? That really surprised me? Beautiful, the Carole King musical. I am not big on the like musicals about people's lives, like bio musicals, and that's a big trend recently, and it's cool and it's fun. But that ensemble was just, and Jesse Mueller, they were singing their asses off. Like, I was just like, whoa, I had never seen anything like that. And like, they were just so talented. And the technical aspect of it too. Like, I remember this one transition where like, there were a lot of like, Carole King wrote for so many different groups, you know, right? And like all these different, and there was these 3 girls that were just like in normal clothes and it was fine. And they were transitioning into like this group number, this song that they had written for like the Shirelles or something. And they literally walk behind this one, like, curtain, it looked like, that lowered, like, that was this skinny. And it lowered for maybe 2 seconds and then went right back up. And they just were walking past it. And as they walked past it, they had new wigs, dresses. Like, me and my friend that went to see it, they're like, wait. They were like, how did they just do costume changes in, like, negative 5 seconds? Like, I don't understand. So it was like really cool, innovative stuff like that I had never seen before. And then they ended with I Feel the Earth Move, and I was like, everybody was on their feet, like screaming. Like, old ladies next to me were like, yeah. And I was like, this is amazing. I was like, I'm right there with you. Woo. So yeah, that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, Beautiful was really well done. It was a really cool show.
It's fun to be surprised like that.
Yeah.
Really go in with not a lot of expectations.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like some of the stuff you hear about, the stage manager of the show I was just in, he's all about New York as well. He lived there for a long time, and he saw Mary Poppins, among other things, and was talking about how like characters are dancing on the ceiling and like walking around the arch and everything, and you can't see the strings.
Right. I've never seen Mary Poppins, but I would love to see that. Yeah.
I like to explain to people that theater people, in my experience, are quite different from musical theater people, and they're like they overlap a lot, but they're also very, very different. In college, I was a theater major, and I lived in a house where I think 2 of us were theater and 2 of us were musical theater. Yeah, and just the dynamic of all of those people under one roof was interesting.
It's so weird to me, like because it's true, that is a true thing, and like that there are so many subdivisions, and they like, and you feel the divide. But even in like when I was in undergrad, the fact that like the music department is over here, the theater department's over here, the dance department's over here, and then within those they're all subdivisions too. You have the contemporary dancers, you have the more ballet dancers, you have the rock musicians, you have the like jazz musicians, you have the musical theater people, you have the theater people. Like, we're all doing this thing. We're all doing this performance thing, and we should all be like intermingling and like make it like, I love it when like, and I started doing that. Like, I tried to like push that a little bit, but it's like wild to me because we are all, it is like, what's beautiful is that everybody is so different. And like, it is like I was saying, my writer brain, like I was with all these writers for 2 years, and it was just so different from being around actors all the time. Yeah. But it's beautiful. It's like so nice because that's how you get great art, is when you mix people that are all so different and can like create something from each of their perspectives to make a whole.
Is that what you really loved about being a writer, that you're in charge of this and you can work so many of these elements into your stories?
Yeah, that was like the cool thing, like, because I was always like, I wrote since I was like a kid. Like I would write little plays and stuff and like perform. I called them skits, and I would always like write on like my mom's legal pads because she worked at a law office. And so I like take all her extra legal pads and like write skits. And so I was like always like seeing the full picture in my head. And then when I got to grad school and I was like, I'm doing, especially as like going in as a words person, as they quoted it, I was in charge of writing the book and the lyrics for the show or the song that we were writing. So scene work and lyrics. And then the music person would come in and add the music to whatever we needed to have music for. And then incorporating other actors or creating a piece of music that needed dancers only, or like figuring out how to make this song danceable and figuring out like the lighting for like what this moment would be and how a whole direction of a scene can be driven by like, what do we want the projection to look like for this moment? Like, we know that there's going to be projections in this. So like, this is that kind of scene. What do we do with that? And like, how do we write in that world where like we're able to like project certain things onto the screen? Or like, this is just going to be a dance piece, but like it's only spoken word. There's going to be no music. Like, how do we create musicality in that when it's just words? The words have to be the music, you know? And so it's like all these things, and like you're working with all these different people. We like had people come in, choreographers come in and stuff and talk to us, and it was just so interesting to me because it was such a luxury to get that like opportunity to like play in that way that you don't ever really get to unless you just make it happen yourself. Like, you seek out different artists, like you ask a friend of a friend, like, I know you dance, like, can you come in and like, I've written this thing, can you? And that was what sort of opened me up a little bit more in my thinking, was that you don't have to do it all by yourself. Because I was like, always like, it's just, I'm creating and like, I can't do it all by myself. I need other people to help me. And so you start reaching out to different dancers and directors and lighting designers and sound designers and all these different people that have different skills that can just really enhance, change, modify, grow what you initially had as just like this little spark of an idea. So it's like, that was what really was beautiful about grad school, was like seeing all of that and being able to explore that and play in that. That was cool.
That is such an amazing opportunity that you had.
Yeah,
at
nice.
NYU.
Yeah.
And now that you're on the road, what are you doing with that creative part of your brain? Are you still writing? Are you composing?
You know, like 3 of my besties from grad school, who we all still talk all the time, but we each are living in all different parts of the country right now. And one of them gathered us and was just like, we need to like just do something, like, and I think she just knew like none of us were keeping up with our writing as much as we could. And she was like, what if we just like did like a little idea, and like each of us write a lyric, and then we give ourselves a time frame to write it, and then when that time has come, we trade the lyric with someone else, and then that person has to write the music for that lyric that you just got. And we did that like twice in the past 3 months, and it was so fun, and it was so just, we wrote these crazy songs, like they were just silly, fun songs, but like, who knows, they could be something, you know, in the future or like anything, but just to get that creative muscle going again. Because yeah, with COVID and family and just life in general, like after grad school, me and my partner David, we worked a lot, and we did concerts here, concerts there, showcase here, whatever. We were trying really hard in New York, but of course pandemic hit and halted sort of like all progress in that way. And then he just had a baby, so like he's like very busy and it's just very difficult. It's hard to like keep it up, and I can't carry my piano with me on tour, you know. And so and that's how I mostly write, is I come up with the music and then like lyrics in my head, but I'm not very much of just like write poetry type person. Like I sing it out of me, which is weird. Like I know it's like it's a mix of like, but I sing it out first and then I write it down. So it's hard for me to like write new stuff nowadays, but I'm excited to like get back into it, and I'm excited to have friends who like push us to like do little things like this and little exercises here and there. So we're playing around, and I feel like with my shows that I do have, they're solid, you know, and I don't have to like edit. We did a lot of editing and working on and stuff like that over the pandemic and stuff. So those are sort of like in the can at the moment, and like now they need like workshops and like a staged reading here. Like that's where they're at. So that's sort of the opportunities that we're looking for now. And like then writer brain comes back on, you know, and I'll be like in it. But until those opportunities start actually happening, I'm just trying to stay on the grind and work as an actor, work wherever I can, honestly, like work and do what I can do.
It's that game of constantly shifting these priorities and putting
Finding
some of your
balance.
personal work onto the back burner, finding balance with it, because you're traveling again. You're on tour once again with a new show. You're with Book of Mormon now.
Yes, the Book of Mormon.
You like that show?
I do like that show. When I was like in my early 20s, I think is when it came out, like 2011, I believe, is when Book of Mormon was on Broadway. Still on Broadway, one of the longest running shows on Broadway, so good for them. But I remember when it came out, I was like, what is this show? Like, what? Like, it sounded crazy, you know, and I was just like, I don't understand. And back then I was in Georgia, just teaching like dance classes here and there, but I got the cast album, and a lot of times what I would do with Broadway shows was just listen to the cast album and then read the Wikipedia synopsis as the songs came up. And that way I could like know what was happening and get context. Sure. When I tell you I could not stop laughing, like that was one of the most like, it was just one of the most hilarious things I'd ever listened to, read. Like I was just dying. It was like, this is so funny. It's so crazy. It's so absurd. But it had like so much heart too. And like, it was just like, so like, it had something really like beautiful to say, you know, and like, but like poking so much fun, like just, you know, which I love. So I was just like, this is great. Like, what an interesting brand new show. Like, cool. And I'd never been like a big South Park fan or anything, but like I knew that they had written it, and I was just like, all right, let's see. And I was just like, wow, this is one of those once in a lifetime crazy shows that's like really, really good. So yeah, I remember auditioning for it here in Atlanta years, maybe like 2013 or something randomly. They had like come to Atlanta, and they were at the like Alliance Theater. I think they were holding auditions. And it's so funny because the part that I am right now in the show was what I was auditioning for back then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, but back then I couldn't sing it. Like I literally couldn't. It's so high. And I was just like a little baby Kyle. And I just went in there and just tried, but it was just not right. And I knew. But ever since then, I've always had that show in the back of my mind, like, that'd be a cool show to do. Like, I could do that show. I know I could, like, one day.
And here you are.
Here we are.
There you go.
There you go.
And it must be such a vastly different experience with the audience compared to traveling with Rent. The shows are very different. You're going for full comedy now.
Yeah.
With what you're doing.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying that?
I am. It's fun to like, be in something that is like meant to be funny, you know, whereas like Rent, you have like your funny moments, and like, but it's like a dramatic, like it's a show about the AIDS crisis and like homelessness and stuff like that. But again, it's like at the same time you say they're so different, but they're very similar because Book of Mormon is talking about AIDS in Africa and like, you know, and and similarly the audiences, I remember so many people walking out of Rent like after La Vie Boheme, end of Act 1, done. Just like absolutely not, disgusted. No, like they were dancing on the table, like humping each other. No, they can't. My eyes. But then literally same thing for this show. Like people cannot take it and they don't want to do, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what did you think you were coming to? And I always think that with both shows. I'm like, you can do research. You don't have to just like blindly go. Like you can like just Google.
And even just there are these huge shows that have been around for so long. It's like you're gonna hear things, like through the grapevine.
So it's
you know,
it's like really shocking to me, like how many people will walk out like just shocked and just disgusted and standing up and leaving. I'm like, just wait, like just stay. I promise, like. just okay, bye. I'll see you later, I guess.
And if you've traveled around this country, you also know that the sense of humor varies depending on which part of the country you're in as well.
Yeah.
Have you've noticed that with like, are there certain places where they're like, oh, they did not connect with it. They stayed, they were there, but there wasn't a lot of laughter.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like silence the whole show, and you're just like, okay. You're like, all right, cool. But then sometimes it's like uproarious laughter, like the whole show, just people cracking up the entire time, and that's really cool. Like, because that was never Rent. Like Rent was never like cackling the whole time. There was like screaming and hooping and hollering and like singing along and stuff like that. That was different because it was such a like fandom for that one. But like Mormon is like people are just like cracking up constantly, which is really cool. That's fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you're about halfway through the tour there. You got what, 5 months left?
About 6. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 months. We only did about 2.5 just now. We started in September, October, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we finished like the first week of, or second week of December.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we only had like a little, we sort of got like our, what is it, sea legs or, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, we tested the waters for the first like couple months, and now it's like, we're about to hit the road and like go full force for 6 months.
Nice. And we are, I'm not sure when this episode's going to air, but we're in the first week of January right now.
Yes.
So 2023.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon for you? What are you really excited for?
I am excited to keep doing what I love, you know, like keep performing, keep being out there, trying new things.
Do you like embrace not knowing what's next? A lot of the stories that you've told throughout this episode are like, oh, I just saw a flyer for this thing,
right.
Or I just saw the application for this thing, and now here I am, and this thing led to this thing. Do you kind of embrace that?
No. It stresses me out constantly. Like I said, when I first got Rent, it was so nice to just have everything planned and everything just tell me where to be. Like, I love that. And that's just not the life that I've chosen, unfortunately. Like, you never know when your next job is coming, and it's stressful. But all I can do is just keep auditioning, you know, and on to the next.
And if you had your way, would you prefer after the show wraps to go back to New York and stay there for a while, kind of? I mean, like settle there and work within the city instead of traveling again, or you feel open to more? I'm definitely open. You know, like I love New York City, and I do want to be living there like long term. Like, but yeah, either or. I'm excited for all the opportunities. We'll wrap up with some serious questions. Oh God. Okay. We're going serious.
I'll dim the lights.
Right.
So we want to ask you, and we ask everybody this.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back in time,
mm-hmm.
Give advice to your 20-year-old self, or I guess 17-year-old self. Let's go with the one that's going to New York for the first time.
Yeah.
Is there any particular advice that you would give to yourself? Anything that you would change or want to do different?
Yeah. I felt like there was a lot of wasted time in my like early 20s. Yeah. Yeah. I felt like there was a lot of like meandering type energy, and like I have this like big dream, you know, and like what I want to do, and I could see it so clearly, but like I held myself back because I still had braces, or I wasn't as fit as I thought I should be, or I couldn't hit these certain notes, so I'll never be able to really do it yet. Like, just do it. So maybe just like be bolder and really try not to like judge yourself so harshly, and like just fucking do it, like whether it fails or not. Like when I wasn't able to afford my second year at AMDA, and I like sat in Georgia for a year working at Moe's, you know what I mean? Like, why didn't I go work at some restaurant in New York for that time? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't I just like, I knew people up there. I could have lived in somebody's couch for a moment and found a place, and I could have worked it out, but I was like, no, I want to be safe, and I'll figure it out here, maybe. Like, who knows? Like, I don't want to like be out of my comfort zone too much. And there's no point in that. Like, I would have been okay. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been okay to like, and so I should have taken myself back to New York in some way, like work towards that. But it felt so insurmountable and like impossible, and like, how am I going to do this without school or without a degree or da-da-da-da? Like, ugh.
How did you personally get to the point where you are now, where you were like, what would be different now about today, Kyle, where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this thing?
Well, now I've had so many opportunities where it was like, okay, you get the full ride. Okay, you book this now. Okay, this is your first time doing this and you get it. Like that has happened to me so many times now where I'm like, okay, there's like something, like I'm not trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's outward validation that sort of like turned my head a little bit, you know what I mean? Or turned my perspective a little bit. But I had never had that, you know, I had never had any outward. Nobody was ever telling me you're an amazing singer or you're like a brilliant dancer, or like you're the most beautiful guy I've ever seen. I never had anything like that ever. And so to get these like little moments here and here, they started adding up to where I was like, oh my God, like maybe I am talented. It's not just all in my head. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. And then it was like, oh no, not maybe, I can. And I am. And like, look at what you've done. And like moments like this where I'm like talking about it on a podcast, like make me go, you are worthy and able to do things, and don't sell yourself short. And it's hard to do that when you're 17 and like, all you've done is a couple high school musicals, and like you think like, yeah, I feel like I'm great at what I do and I love what I do and this is like what I'm meant to do, but no one ever has told you that, you know? And sometimes you have to hear it. You do. Like you have to like feel it and hear it. And yeah, I hadn't heard it really, you know, until I was like late mid-20s, you know, and then it started happening for me and I was like, oh. I was like, okay, Kyle, all right.
And I hope that there's someone listening to this that is in that situation that you were describing, is in high school or in college and uncertain about what they want to do. There's always someone looking up to you, which is why I appreciate having these conversations with you, because you might not feel like you even now, like you've come really far in your career.
Yeah.
I'm hyping you up all the time when I talk to you. I'm like, the stuff you've done is really, really cool. Right. And it's really awesome. And I do hope that there's people listening to this that are really inspired by that. Thank you so much for being here and talking to us about this stuff, and also being just who you are, transparent and honest and open about it, because like I said, someone's going to listen to this and learn from it.
Yeah.
And be inspired by you as well.
I hope so, and I hope that's the case. And I just really appreciate you guys asking me and wanting me to be here. It's so like nice and exciting. And
I'm so glad we caught you while you're in town, because you're heading to Texas now, yeah?
Oh, yes, McAllen, Texas.
Tomorrow? Two days.
Sunday, yeah.
Soon.
Sunday, yeah.
Soon.
Very, very
That's
soon.
so exciting. I'm excited to see what's next for you. If it's New York City after the tour, if it's back to writing, who knows?
Who knows? That's the adventure.
That's amazing. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.